Hernando, and I'm here as the host and moderator for these sessions, and I love doing it. I look forward to it every Thursday, and I always learn something right along with you. So now let's get to the woman of the hour, Anna Hernando. And I tell you what, this topic today, if you read the topic and you were thinking, I'm not sure what exactly that means, a lot of people are in that same boat. So don't worry, she's going to break it all down for us. Today, she's talking about harnessing the science of neuroplasticity to gain advantages in small business. And again, if you're saying, what the heck? Don't worry, she's got a great presentation to take us through, and I'll give a little bit of information about her. She's really passionate about integrative wellness, which is embodied in the work that one's engaged in. So in terms of education, she holds a bachelor's degree in kinesiology, a master's degree in occupational therapy, and a master's in business administration. And that's not all. As we speak, she is pursuing her doctorate in performance psychology. So she really is the perfect person to speak on this. She is a certified self-talk speaker and trainer, also a certified life coach, certified wellness practitioner, and certified resilience and thriving facilitator. So what Anna does throughout her life and throughout her career is focuses on empowering people to reclaim their purpose, to live meaningful, purposeful, satisfying lives. She has been a guest speaker for many different groups, and I'll just name a few: American Airlines Professional Women in Aviation, Texas Autism Conference, MOPS International, Mothers of Multiples, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are absolutely delighted to have Anna Hernando. Let Anna take it away from here. All right. Excited to have you, Anna.
Well, thank you, Jenny, for such a wonderful introduction. And I am very excited to be along with you guys today. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started and share my screen. Okay, you ready?
Perfect. Yes, we are ready for you.
All right. So this is what we're going to be talking about this afternoon. We're going to be talking about how you can harness the science of neuroplasticity to gain successful advantages in your business. And like Jenny said, most of you might be thinking, that's a whole lot of stuff going on. What exactly is it? And you're hearing a lot lately, ever since the pandemic, you're hearing a lot of different things about how people can take back ownership of their lives and really look at where things are going in my life and where can I take this power back. And really, it starts with the science of neuroplasticity. And so I have three objectives for you this afternoon. My first objective is that I want you to really have just knowledge. There are 7 elements to neuroplasticity that are defined by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. And so I really want you to just have the knowledge. If you can just have that information that there's elements to neuroplasticity. And guess what? You can use them. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a neuroscientist to use these. We all use them every single day, but now you're going to be mindful of them. The second objective is that I want you to gain awareness on the importance of integrating these elements for your business. So first I want you to know what they are, and then I want you to gain the awareness that it's important to really integrate them. If you're not utilizing neuroplasticity for you in an intentional, purposeful way, somebody is using neuroplasticity on you in order for you to do what they want you to do. Okay. The third component, the third objective is that you're going to receive some actionable steps to start using neuroscience to your advantage. So it's one thing that we are gaining awareness and that you understand that's important, but what is that going to do if I don't have some steps to take? So those are the 3 things that I want you to walk away from this afternoon, okay? Most of you have heard that the greatest computer known is the human brain. It really is. And so if you own a computer, which I'm sure you are because you're watching this, or you even own a cell phone, then you have familiarity of a computer. And most of us don't have the same computer or the same phone that we had when they first came out. We had to download more software. We had to update the software. We had to also upgrade the device. Well, we don't have the option of taking our brain out and going and getting a new brain, but we do have the availability to reprogram and update the software that's in our brain. And that's what really neuroscience is how do we get to be able to utilize that programming and how can we change the programming that's in the brain so that we can do what we want to do. And so knowing that your brain really is a big computer, that should make you feel a little bit at ease. Because if you know that to get your computer to run faster, more efficient, and really get it to do things you want it to do, you just got to you got to update the operating system. So you can do that for yourself. And that's where your business is going to change. So the 7 elements of neuroplasticity is the first one is mindfulness. Now, you're hearing a lot about mindfulness. It's really kind of become a buzzword, and we're going to talk a little bit about it here. The second is choices. Every single day you have a choice. This morning I was speaking here at the Ser Negocios conference, and if you weren't able to attend, I really hope that you put it on your calendar for next year because this is an amazing event. There's some wonderful people here, some valuable information. I've already walked away with so many nuggets just from attending 2 other workshops. And so one of the women this morning attended my conference, and she mentioned to me that she's working with her children, and she told her child, you're it's not that you can't do this, it's that you're lazy. Well, we don't want to ever tell anybody something negative like you're lazy. And so we had the conversation about he's not lazy, he's just choosing not to. So if we look at everything as a choice, I'm not being lazy, I'm just choosing not to. It changes the way we program ourselves. And remember, our brain is a computer and we program. So the third one is intention. What is our intention and how do we use intention to make our business grow and be successful? The fourth is focus. Many years ago, there was if you've ever been involved in a network marketing company, there's a wonderful person who created lots of great books called Dare to Dream. And one of the things that he says is that focus is a skill. We all think that we're born with focus, right? We all think that, oh, they just lack focus. They can't do anything because they can't focus. Focus is a skill. It's something you can learn and you can develop. All skills are teachable. So you can learn to focus. You just have to learn how it will work for you. What distractions do you need to eliminate? How do you best focus? And we'll talk a little bit about the number one way people gain focus. The fifth element is repetition. The brain will do what you tell it to do over and over again. Repetition is the key to changing your programs. It's all fine and good that you just put a new program in, but you have to watch it over and over again in order for it to become what's called hardwired. See, our brain has what we have neurosynapses. So information comes in and it makes a pathway. Interesting that the Ser Negocio conference is called Pathways to Progress. So pathways are what are created. And when a pathway starts, it's very thin and it's not concrete. It takes the information coming in again and again and again to make the neural synapse concrete. So repetition is the key. Many of you always heard when you were growing up, practice makes perfect. Well, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you're doing something over and over again and it's not quote unquote perfect, you're not going to get a perfect outcome because the repetition that you're doing is not perfect. The sixth element of neuroplasticity is emotion. Things that we are emotionally charged with will get hardwired faster in our brains. Let me give you an example. How many of you have ever touched a hot stove? Probably most of us. Most of us at one point in our lives have touched a hot stove, okay? Did we need repetition to learn that the hot stove was something we didn't want to touch again? No, because there was an emotional charge. One, we had physical pain. Two, you probably had some loving family member go, "Oh my gosh, stop, don't touch the stove," right? So you immediately had this emotion of like, "Ah." And so most of us don't go around touching a hot stove. We had an emotional charge. We don't have to have the repetition. So neuroplasticity does hardwire things in without repetition, but only if it's a strong emotional component. And the seventh one is belief. And so I'm going to talk about each one of these, okay? So mindfulness is the process of being consciously aware of your mental environment and activity in a purposeful way. Most of us go through life without being mindful. Most of us go on autopilot all the time. Now, you probably went a certain way to work, and then the pandemic happened and you were going at home. And then you had to go back to work. Many of you went back to the office. And at first you were like, okay, I remember how to get to the office. And you get to the office. And then you start going repeatedly to the office. And it's autopilot. Now, let's say it's your day off or you're coming to the conference and you have to go a different way. But you get in your car and you start driving, and for some reason, you end up at your office instead of the conference that you wanted to go to because you were not consciously aware of your mental environment and where you were going. You were on autopilot. And that's what happens for mindfulness. Mindfulness is where we have to stop what we're doing and we need to become mindfully aware. And so there it goes. So becoming aware of your breathing is the first step to practicing mindfulness. Most of the people are not aware of how they're breathing. It sounds really simple and trivial, but it's critical. So breathing in deeply, holding your breath for a count of 10, and then exhaling with force. So it's breathing in, and then ask yourself, how am I being? What am I doing? Is what I'm doing in alignment with my goals and my purpose? As business owners, many times we wake up and we're hitting the ground running. We've got all these things to do on our list, and we just hit the ground running. By being mindful, we stop, we allow the flow of thoughts to go through in a purposeful way. Our whole body gets good circulation, and we're able to have focus. We want to make sure that when you are practicing mindfulness, because it takes you out of the mistake mode as well. It also enables you to look at, what am I doing in my business? Is this action right now going to take me forward or take me back? There are so many things that are going to come up for everyone in their business, whether it's other people calling you for cold calls, asking you to join them, or asking you to purchase their software or purchase their services. And we can get caught up in that. But if you take a moment and become mindful, taking that deep breath in, holding it, and blowing out, then we can make an actually conscious decision. Is this really in the best interest of my business? If I purchase this software, will it help my business in the long run? Or do I get emotionally charged because they're so excited about selling me this software that I'm like, yes, 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 yes. I have a client that's here at the conference, and she's amazing, very gifted. And we had to work out a strategy before she came because this is her first big conference. She's been to shows, but this is her first big conference. And so we had to work out a strategy where she knew that coming here, she would not buy more of the other vendor's items than what she was selling. We had to set up a budget and let her know this is all you can pay or buy at the conference because you're going to see all kinds of really great things and you're going to end up spending all of what you're making on other people's items. Now, it's always good to support small business, but she had to become mindful of why did she come to this conference? What was the reason she came? She came to grow her mindset, to gain new skills, to network, and to sell her product. She didn't come to, to go back home with a trunk full of other people's products. Okay? So by becoming aware of what she's doing in that moment, this is how your business can stay in control of your purchases. Can also help you stay in control of who is your customer. Many times we get carried away because we want to serve everybody. We think our business is good for everybody, and where it might be, you have an ideal customer. And so when you get carried away, you can take this part, practice mindfulness, breathe in, and think, is this my ideal customer? No. Do they know someone who's my ideal customer? Yes, then you can proceed. So it's all finding about doing everything on purpose and in alignment with what are your goals. The second element is choices. Every choice is influenced by that mental programming. Your mental programming is everything that you've heard, everything that you've experienced from the moment that you were born is programming you. It's creating that operating system within your brain, your main computer. And every choice is influenced by your programming. This is getting a little bit more understood by people because you're on social media. Although I will tell my husband all the time and my mother, they don't seem to understand that the ads that you're seeing that come up in your social media are actually programmed by their choices. So this is really critical. Every choice is creating the programming, right? So we're influenced by the programming we have, and then every choice we make after that is creating more programming. Most of you have a social media account, and you're probably on there with your friends and your families, and then you'll see things pop up in your feed. You might have looked at somebody on your, uncle. I have a cousin who's into fishing, and he posts all the time about his fish. And if I go in and I comment and I say, "This is amazing. Looks like you had a great time." Then all of a sudden I start getting little pop-ups on fishing and how do I order a charter and wouldn't I like to have a vacation in Belize where I can go fishing and deep sea fishing. And you think, "Wow, that's really coincidental." No, it's programming. And so when you're looking at your business, you have to stop and say, am I letting my program make my choice? Is this programming that I want to help make my choice? Or is this programming that I don't want because the choice that I'm making is not for me? So asking yourself in any moment, is this choice right here in front of me going to get me closer or further from my goals or my dreams? So if you think about just the pathways, is this the path? If I choose to take this path, is it going to take me where I want to go? And if it's not, then you need to make a different choice. If you're not sure, then take a moment and practice the mindfulness because it will get clear to you on which choice you should make. Intention is known as the driving force of creation, creating the direction with purpose. Intention means that you are clear on what is your desired outcome and why you are making the choice that you're making. What is your intention about coming to a conference? What is your intention about going to a networking breakfast? What is your intention about participating in a golf outing? What is your intention when you are working with a new customer. And if you lead with a service, if your intention is to serve the person, to serve their business, then it will always come back to you in the positive. When we focus on, I'm here, my intentions are to make sales. That's my intention. My intentions are to make sales. You might make the sales, but you'll miss out on developing a long-term relationship, which will bring you actually more sales. Focusing on that intention. Why am I here? What am I doing? Many times in big businesses, you'll see that this is a vision. What's the vision of my business? What's the mission of my vision of my business? So look at what's the intention. My intention for you guys this afternoon was very clear. I'm intending for you to walk away with knowledge, awareness, and action steps. And when you can get clear on what is your intention, things will line up for you and you will be able to be using the neuroplasticity, neuroscience to grow your business. Now, I mentioned that focus is a skill. Many people, especially entrepreneurs, typically do have attention deficit disorder. It's not a bad thing. It's great. Most of us are very creative and we have so many great ideas and we want to come here and we want to do this and we want to do that and that, which is why for people who are small business and entrepreneurs, it's wonderful that you can plug into many of the programs that Sarah offers to help you with that. And so where we want to have all these different things, we have to focus on one. Yes, you can have it all. We just can't do it all at once. We hear many times that we should multitask. Well, multitasking doesn't really work. Really, most of us were not able to recite the alphabet and hop on one foot and count to 3 all at the same time. That would be considered multitasking. We can't multitask. We can't do it well. And so focus helps us. Where we get along is we have to chunk our time. We have to look at what's the priority. Because if we act like everything's a priority, then nothing is, and you get nothing done. And so the best part about focusing is writing down clear, specific goals and the action steps. Most of the successful people in business, in acting, and anything else, write down their goals. One of my favorite people to listen to is Steve Harvey. I think he's phenomenal. First of all, he's funny. Secondly, he really puts into practice all of these things. Steve Harvey takes it to a complete level. He's intentional in everything that he does. He actually has his tailor stitch his goals in his clothing, in the cuff of his shirts and in the cuff of his pants. He's intentional all the time. So clear, specific, written down goals and action steps is the number one way to improve your focus. And next week, I'll actually walk you through on how to write those, what kind of goals to write, how to write them, and to carry them out. So next week, we'll really get focused on our focus. I mentioned repetition. Now, we all know when we're growing up, we hear the same things all the time. One of my favorites is shut the door. Shut the door. I would always leave the door open when I was a kid for some reason. And my mother would always tell me, shut the door, you're letting the flies in. Shut the door, were you born in the dark? Shut the door, shut the door. And it got to be the point where now I literally will go around and shut doors because my mother told me all the time. And I also started to pass that on to my children. I tell them, shut the door, you're letting the flies in. I actually monetarily charged my kids. I told them and all their friends that if they left the door open, I was tired of telling them that I was just going to walk up and tell them they owed me $1. They stopped leaving the door open. But the point of it is that what you hear over and over again, what you experience over and over again, that hardwires your brain. Most of you can recite a commercial jingle that you heard when you were younger. Why? Because you heard it over and over again. If any of you have children, you've probably watched the latest Disney movie 1,000 times, and you could probably sing all the songs in there. Why? Because it was programmed in. I used to read my son a story every single night before he would go to bed. And it was The Little Engine That Could. And if you haven't heard the story of The Little Engine That Could, it's about a little circus train trying to go over the mountain. And the circus train breaks down. And so as it's broken down, some other engines come by and it's asking for help. So this little circus engine is asking for help. And they all tell the circus engine, "No, we can't help you. I'm too big. I'm too beautiful. I'm too important. I can't help you." And this little teeny tiny blue engine comes up and says, "I can help you." And the circus train's like, "You can't help me. You're too little. You're too small. You can't take my big train over the mountain." And she's like, "Of course I can." And the whole entire, she checks herself up to the rest of the circus train and she chugs all the way up. And she constantly says to herself, "I think I can, I 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 think I can." See where I'm going with this? I think I can. She gets to the top and she comes down. She says, "I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could." So the programming was, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can," and goes all the way down. Now, the really funny part about this is that I have memorized that book from repeatedly reading it to my son over the course of probably 10 years every single night. I could do the whole entire book for you. That was just a snapshot. So everything that we repeat to ourselves become neural pathways in our brain. And these pathways become the beliefs that all of our actions are based on. So you want to repeat that which you want to create. What are you doing that is not creating what you want? It's not just you have to stop doing it. You have to reprogram yourself. Because by not being mindful, your brain is going to automatically take you to the old programming. I've worked in my life with a lot of patients that have had suffered a stroke. I'm an occupational therapist, and typically that's most people see an occupational therapist because they have a disability or they have a health crisis. You don't have to, by the way. We actually know how to help people before they get to that point. But so one of the things is that when you've had a stroke, when you've experienced a stroke, there's a big roadblock because it's been a blood clot in your brain. So if you could think of um, if you've ever gone on a freeway and all of a sudden there's a big detour. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and I could be driving along and all of a sudden there'll be this huge detour. And so having a stroke means that there's this big block within the brain. We used to think when I was in school that we only had 6 months of time to be able to help somebody get over their stroke or get better. We now know that's not true because of the science of neuroplasticity. It's not that we have to have only 6 months. It's repetition. Because when you have a roadblock, you need to figure out ways around it. So in construction, it's like the detour. You need to figure out the way, the detour around what it is that you want. And you have to do it multiple times. There is a modality, a treatment that's used, a program that's used within people who've had, who have experienced a stroke, and it uses neuroplasticity. It's not doing it 10 times. It's not doing the exercise 50 times. It's not even doing the exercise 1,000 times. It's doing the exercise 5,000, 10,000, and 20,000 times to create the detour around the roadblock and now hardwire in that new pathway. So don't just try something once. Do it over and over and over until it sticks. That is the number one way that you will reprogram your brain. I mentioned emotion. Emotion is important within our brain because it's really there to help us stay safe. It's meant to keep us safe and secure. You know, when we were, before we had all this technology, when we had all this other, when we were kind of like cave people and we're Neanderthals and we're coming up in the whole world evolution, we had to be very aware of our surroundings at all times, not because of competition, not because we needed to have all the shells, but because we needed survival. We needed survival skills. We had to worry about the saber-toothed tiger. We had to worry about, the anaconda coming up at us. We had to worry about all these different environmental predators. And so that's where emotion is the one thing that can go over repetition because it taps into that survival component. So emotion that moves from danger and anger, you want to shift that to excitement and enthusiasm. When we do things with excitement and enthusiasm, it will trigger that still survival component and go through above repetition and hardwire in. So if you get an award for something or you complete something, get excited about it. You sign up your first customer, get excited about it. You close a deal that you've been working on, celebrate it. So many times as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we're so focused on making sure that we get things done. We're so focused on making sure that we keep the lights on, that we've got the sale, that we can cover payroll, that we forget to celebrate the small things. And when we celebrate those things, that excitement and enthusiasm triggers that neuroplasticity. And now we're continuing the positive programming for success. This is why rewards do work, but we want to make sure we have everything else behind them. And I'm not talking about throwing yourself an extravagant type of party. When I work with my clients, we do 10-second dance parties. That's what we do. So when we have a big win that we're very excited about, let's say we did a program and we have 10 people that signed up, paid in full, we're all excited. We do a 10-second dance party. We put the favorite song on and we go around like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Of course, everybody else is looking at us like, what are you doing? We're like, we are having a party over here. And so just because we've done that, we now have excitement and enthusiasm connected to this achievement. And when we do that, we bypass that repetition requirement for neuroplasticity, and we have that much stronger of a pathway for repeating the behavior that we did to get the sale that we just got. So when you're working with emotion, it's important that we have to identify our fears, and we have to look at them and make the choice to overcome them. A big fear that people have is not necessarily failure, like everyone thinks. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm afraid to fail. They're afraid to fail. It's really not that. Marianne Williamson tells us that it's really being successful. More people have the fear of being successful because when you're successful, then how other people now judge you, how other people now perceive you. How does your family take you? Now, my family, I have two different cultures. My mom's parents immigrated from Ireland and my dad's parents immigrated from Mexico and Spain. And so I have two different ones blended together. But what happens in my experience is that when somebody is successful in my families, it's more about, oh, you think you're better than us, right? Although my families that immigrated, my grandparents that immigrated, they came here for us to be successful so that we could have better opportunities. But then there's this little bit of culture that comes back and says, but you think you're better than us. I don't. But that fear deep down, that emotional connection deep down, sometimes can trigger my choice. And I have to be mindful to overcome those choices. I have to be mindful of what is this fear? What really is it? How is it triggering me? And then do I feel positively about what I'm creating? You have to be in love with your business. You have to be in love with your customers. I'll work with clients sometimes and they'll complain about their customers. Well, are you able to help this customer? If you are not, refer them to somebody else who can. Serve the customer. Sometimes the customers that come to us, we're not a fit for them. And that's okay. Send them to somebody else who is a fit because you've still served them. And that enables you to feel positive and have the great emotion about your business. Yes, you can do a 10-second dance party if the customer who was not very happy, was not very good for you, was not a fit for what you had to offer. You've referred them to somebody else and they come back and tell you, oh, this person's great. I love working with them. I am so happy. I'm so happy. 10-second dance party. I'm so happy you're getting the wonderful help that you needed so that you can stay positive and feel good about your business and what you're doing and the customers that are a fit for you. And then the seventh one is belief. Belief physically alters the neurostructure of the brain, which dictates your actions. Now, this is proven. This is definitely in all of the research articles that's out there. They've done functional MRIs. That's where you have the little MRI. Most of you have been in a tube, have had an MRI done, but they'll do electrodes on it, and then they'll have you move around your day. They'll have you do whatever the function is, and it's recording it. And what they've seen and through these studies is that what you believe will actually alter the neural structures. So if you believe one thing and now you're being programmed, you're programming yourself to something different, it changes. Okay. We see this a lot in healthcare. And like I mentioned, I've worked with a lot of patients who have had situations come up where they needed to have therapy. And many times when we're working with clients and patients in the hospital setting or even a skilled nursing facility or a rehab facility, you'll get people that have the exact same physical ailment. So my favorite example to use is the one that people will have a hip replacement. You can have two people that have the exact same hip replacement surgery from the exact same doctor, the same surgeon. They're in the same hospital. They're eating the same food at the hospital. They have the same staff taking care of them. And yet one of them will get better and one of them won't. And the whole reason is because of what they believe. And how our belief happens is through that programming. And so this is kind of what happens. You'll have Gladys, and Gladys is going to have her hip replaced. And Gladys calls her friend and says, guess what? I'm going to have my hip replaced. Oh, really? I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I've been waiting for a long time. It's really painful. And so she says, oh, who's going to do the surgery? She says, oh, Dr. Bob over here. She says, oh, no, that's bad. That's bad. Dr. Bob? I don't know. Most of his people end up in the nursing home afterwards. It's not good. You know, my cousin, her friend's nephew's neighbor who lives in Taiwan came back from Taiwan and got married to Susan. And then Susan's mom had surgery from Dr. Bob. And she ended up with an infection. And so Gladys hangs up the phone and she tells somebody else, this is what I'm going to do. I have to have my hip surgery. Oh, no, that's not good. You know, I had hip surgery and I still was in as much pain when I was done. So what are we doing here? We're telling her, we're programming her all this bad stuff. And it's emotional, right? So we've got repetition and emotion. And so what happens? She comes out of her surgery and it's the worst thing ever. I still have pain. I got an infection. I'm in the nursing home. I'm never going to get better. Why didn't I do this? Versus you have Susan over here, and Susan says, yeah, I'm going to have hip surgery. Oh, that's great. You're going to be able to go play tennis. You're going to enjoy golf. You're going to be able to get down on the floor with your grandkids. It's the most wonderful thing in the whole wide world. You are going to ask yourself why you didn't do it sooner. Same surgery, same doctor, different outcome, all because what they believe. There is this neural structure in the brain, this pathway that's telling Gladys, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be horrible. And Susan, this pathway is telling her it's going to be great. So what do you believe? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your business? What do you believe about your competition? What do you believe about, money? This is a big one for people who are entrepreneurs in small business. What do you believe about money? What do you believe about abundance? What do you believe about lack? Now, it's important to know about your competition. It's certainly important to know what do they have to offer? How are they attracting their clients? But it's more important for you to focus on you. What do you believe about your business? What do you believe about your customers, your clients, and what you have to offer? The clearer you get about what you are here to do and who you're here to serve and what you're here to offer, the more your customers are going to come to you. All because belief has a neural structure. Now, you see my little picture of the brain there. You see how it has all the little electrodes? It looks very much like a computer. And the reason being is that it's circuitry. We are electrical, chemical people. And so as we're having these synapses, these electrical charges, that electricity is spanning out to others. And so as you believe in yourself, that's going to be infectious and it's going to bring things to you and your business that are in line with your belief. If you believe your business isn't doing well, if you believe the pandemic is going to tank your business, if you believe that there's not enough grants or helps or assistance to help you move forward in your business, that's what you're going to get. But if you believe that there is multiple resources, that there's an abundant amount of help out there for you, then all you have to do is make the choice to go get it. So how do you actually change and reprogram your neural circuitry? The first and foremost thing is you have to get clear on what it is you want to accomplish. Now, I talked about that electric charge. Now, we've seen all kinds of different little antennas out there. Back in the day when I was a kid, we had a little TV antenna set on the back of the TV. Most of you don't have that nowadays, and if you do, okay, but most of us don't. We had this little TV antenna on the back, and it would give us a little bit of a picture. Okay. Then came the satellite dish, and we got a lot more, better TV, all kinds of things, different programs. And now we have Wi-Fi and fiber optics, and we have so much more. We have this clear, incredible picture on our television, right? So get clear on what it is you want to accomplish. Are you operating from the little teeny rabbit ears on your TV, or are you operating and taking advantage of the full Wi-Fi and fiber optics? And so to get clear, fully visualize it as if what you want to accomplish is happening in this present moment. See, our brains don't have any kind of clock, really. Your subconscious doesn't know past, present, or future. It really doesn't. It treats everything as if it's now. So the first step is to get clear on what you want to accomplish and fully visualize it. You want to feel it. So if your goal is to win Minority Business Person of the Year, then you're going to get clear that that's what you want to do. And you're going to take 10 minutes a day and fully visualize it. You're going to feel the clothes that you're wearing when they present you with this award. You're going to look out on the audience and you're going to see all the smiling faces and your family and your friends and your competition all clapping, and you're going to be waving. You're going to feel the heat from the lights on you. You're going to have the weight of the microphone. You're going to feel the teleprompters. You're going to know what your breath smells like. You're going to know what your teeth taste like. You're going to know all of it. You're going to feel every single component on it. Why? Because your brain doesn't know past, present, or future. It knows now. So you're visualizing it now. You are calling it in. You are creating that pathway right now. The second, write down clear goals with action steps and completion dates. And next week, we'll really get into how to do that. The third, you're going to reprogram your brain by repeatedly listening to positive self-talk. Now, I'm going to offer you a couple of QR codes here, and one of them is to the Self-Talk Plus app. The Self-Talk Plus app was created by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. He really is considered the guru on self-talk. And he started self-talk many, many years ago, and his first book was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's been on the #1 list for many, many years. And so he really shares with you how the brain works and how your self-talk, your mental programs, is really what creates your actions. And the best thing that you can do is listen to self-talk every day. I still listen to it every day. I've been listening to self-talk for over 12 years. And it's the number one thing I tell everybody to start with. If you can't start with anything, start with that. And the fourth thing to really help you is to work with a performance coach. Sarah has a lot of resources available, so does the Small Business Association, to help you work with a performance coach. They'll help you map out a plan and help hold you accountable so that you stick to your plan. And the reason why I say you should work with somebody like that is that most of us will have our confidant, our friend, our compadre, our husband, our spouse, our wife. And it's really nice that they're there to help you, but they're not always going to help you. They're not going to tell you the raw truth in a way that can build you up. That might tell you the raw truth, but it won't be in a way that'll build you up. Okay? So working with a performance coach can really help you map out your goal and help you stick to it. Stick to your plan. These are the two things that I have for you, the QR codes. The one here is a free 30-day access to the Self Plus app. Feel free to plug into that. It's free, 30 days. You can listen to all kinds of different programs to help you. There's also some coaching little seminars that are available as well. And if you don't know where to start, I recommend starting with self-esteem. That's really where I tell people. But there's things in there that'll help you grow your business. One of them is helping you with if your weakness is calling people, you're kind of get a bunch of contacts, but then you get a little worried about calling people. There's a wonderful self-talk that helps you with making phone calls. And so I love it even to this day. I haven't listened to that one probably in 6 years, but I can tell you right now, one of the recordings is touching numbers touches lives. Touching numbers touches lives. I love to help people, so touching numbers touches lives. My cell phone is my best friend, right? So reprogramming, that was a long time ago, but I listened to it a lot. But it will really help you with your business. And especially if you're getting ready to go to a sales presentation, listen to it on your car on the way over to it, and you're going to rock it out a whole lot better by doing that because you're going to be built up from the inside. And the other thing I have to offer you on the other QR code is a free 30-minute coaching call with me. That link will take you right to my calendar. You can book yourself a time, and then we can just talk about your business and see what it is that I can help you with or who I can refer you to help you get where you want to go. And so again, the 7 elements of neuroplasticity are mindfulness. We want to become aware, definitely of our breathing, but also our thoughts. The second is choices. Everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. It's either going to be a choice to move forward or a choice to move backward. There's really not a choice to stay the same, moving forward or going backwards. The third is intention. Be intentional, be on purpose with your choices and where you're going. The fourth is focus. And the number one way that people improve their focus is through writing goals. And next week we'll talk about that. The fifth is repetition. The things that you do repeatedly get wired into your brain, and that creates your beliefs and then your actions. The sixth is emotion. Tie emotion into it, positive enthusiasm, energetic emotion into it, because that's going to hardwire it faster. And the seventh is belief. And you can change your beliefs by tapping into all of these and reprogram your brain. So that's what I have for you this afternoon. And I'm so grateful that you all joined me. And I'm going to let Jenny do her thing.
Awesome, Anna. That was excellent. Thank you so much. You're getting a lot of complimentary posts in the comments. People just really loving the beauty that you brought to today, saying that you're an amazing woman. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. It touched their hearts, their minds. So I hope that that love fills you up today. This is a great question for you, Anna. When when you say talk to yourself, they're asking, well, what exactly do you say? What exactly do you listen to? Can you give an example?
Absolutely. So we're talking to ourselves all the time. We literally start talking to ourselves. If you've had a 3-year-old, they're kind of like we say there's no filter, it just comes out. Well, we start to learn to internalize that. So we're talking to ourselves all the time, and it can go along something like this. In our head, we're thinking, "Oh, I don't know what to price this. I don't know that anybody's going to show up. I don't know if people are going to like what I have to say. I don't know if that's going to work. Oh, I don't know. Why didn't I just go back to school like my mom said? I don't know. I'm just going to mess this up." So we tend to say things like that to ourselves all the time. And we have to shift that programming to be more of like, I'm amazing at what I do. I love connecting with people. I love helping people. I'm amazing. For some reason, we feel bad if we talk good about ourselves, right? We feel like, oh, that's being arrogant or that's being cocky. And it's really not. It's being confident in who and what we are. And so by listening to the self talk recordings, they will actually give you things to reprogram, things that you might not even know. Like one of them is, I'm attractive and I attract wonderful people. I'm attractive because I'm kind. I'm attractive because I'm attentive. I like to be around people. This is a really good self talk recording for somebody who needs to get out, but is still that introvert, but still knows they need to go network with people, but they're like, ah! And so instead of going to a networking event and hating it and standing over at the water cooler, I went to the event, check the box. It starts to reprogram you so you feel comfortable and confident in going out and speaking to people or just getting a couple of numbers and engaging with people instead. And so it's really geared to, by looking at the app, there's so many different ones. You can pick uh, where you want to be. There's goal setting, anxiety, um, sales connections. There's a whole bunch of different ones. And if you're not sure where to start, I always recommend start with self-esteem. Always.
Okay. Start with self-esteem. Yes, somebody was asking, what exactly do you listen to? Is that what you listen to? The QR code that
Absolutely.
you brought up?
Self-esteem. Because everybody, especially since we're internet people now, we're social media people, there's haters everywhere. And by listening to the self-esteem, people are always wanting to beat you up. By listening to self-esteem, you're definitely going to be able to connect more with yourself and then project that out.
Absolutely. I pulled it up on the QR code myself, and then people are asking for the website. So you guys, if you didn't get it, it's selftalkplus.com. Selftalkplus.com. If you didn't get the QR code, if you just want to type it in later or take a note of it. Oh, they're wanting to know who puts out the self-talk recording again.
Okay, so it's Dr. Shad Helmstetter, and I highly recommend that you pick up one of his books. He's one of my mentors, and I love him to death. I was personally trained by him. I sit on his faculty for Self Talk University. And you can always, search for me. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on social media. And so it's his programs that he's created. It's not the same as affirmations. Affirmations are different, okay? Self-talk is presented in a way that you will learn to talk to yourself, right? Affirmations are in the moment, like, you got this, girl. That's not self-talk. Self-talk is really going through, like, I'm attractive. I attract wonderful people. I add value to conversations. I add value to the marketplace. Those are self-talk, so that you start to hear yourself say those things versus, you got this, girl, you know?
Ah, okay, okay, got it. Thank you for repeating the name. People were like, "Oh wait, I wanted to get that. I wanted to absorb that." Now, I would love to know for you personally how this has changed your life. And I'm sure it's a many more minutes than, 5-minute conversation, but can you give us a couple examples for people who are a little bit hesitant? They think, I think I want to do this, but is it really going to make a difference?
I will tell you that if I had not found Dr. Shad and started training with him, I would not have done all the different things that I've done. I would not have been pursuing my PhD. I wouldn't have done all this. But here's the biggest thing that changed for me when I started listening to self-talk. First, I started and I read his book, and then I've been with him so long. It was back when it was cassette tapes. So it's really nice that there's an app now, let me tell you. But I started and I would listen to it in my car. I was able to take my children to school in the morning, and then I would go to the hospital and I would work all day, and then I was able to pick my kids up after school, take them home, and then I would go back to finish my shift at the hospital. And so I would play it with them in the car. So I would take them, and then and they would hate it. They'd be like, "Oh, why am I listening to this? Ugh, this is horrible." And I was like, "I need to listen to it. So we all are going to listen to it." So I drive to school. And so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And what it started for me is it made me engage with my patients better, made me engage with my coworkers better, and then made me see that I had a lot more to offer to the public than just being in the hospital setting I was in. I realized that there was a different calling on my life, and I was equipped to answer that calling. I had the confidence to answer that calling, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. But the greatest thing is my kids. The greatest thing is that by listening to the recordings, by me forcing them in the car twice a day, listening to the recordings, the change that I saw in my kids. And so my kids are significantly older now, but one day I came home, and this is when it sunk in. I came home and I went upstairs to my daughter's room. And if you have a daughter, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like such a mess all the time, clothes everywhere, everything. And I pulled back her curtain and raised up her blind. And she had taken sticky notes, Post-it notes in various colors. And she had written a phrase from each of the recordings that I had played. And she had put them all on her window and made like this little stained glass window. And it had things like, I'm amazing. I have a lot of friends. I'm here for a purpose. I'm kind. These were all the things, and these were part of the recordings that she had been hearing. Now, my daughter is now 23 years old. My son is 25, and I'll share with you more next week about my son and how it's important. But my daughter, I just recently left a notebook on my desk, and she said, oh, can you look up, I need you to pick up this number. I left my notebook at your desk. Can you look up the number? And as I'm flipping through her notebook, it's her work notebook, and she has at the top of each page, you are amazing. I am amazing. She had the same things. The world is filled with people talking you down. There's everywhere you turn, there's something yucky and icky and negative. And so for myself, focusing on the positive for myself has been fantastic for my business. But most importantly, the legacy that I'm carrying, that I'm leaving behind, and the pathway that they are following is probably the best thing that's ever come out of the self-talk. So I would encourage you to plug in for yourself. But if you have kids or uncles or anything else where you're an inspiration to others, that's the best part. That's the best part.
Well, you are incredible. People are loving hearing from you. Thank you so much for just the gift of your presence today and the gift of your knowledge. I already went and found her on LinkedIn, you guys. So yeah, just look up Ana Hernando. You can find her on social media if you're looking for more information. And I want to remind everybody, she's going to be back next week. So if there was a question that you had lingering that we didn't get to answer, bring it again next week. Even pop it in the chat as soon as we get there, and I can put it as the top one on our list, because there's a lot of questions will even pop up this week. I would even challenge you to maybe look at that website, try to experiment a little bit with it before we chat with her again next week for part 2 of this, and then you'll just kind of get invested in that information. So Ana, thank you so much. You are a true treasure. Seeing you all either tomorrow or next week, same time, same place. Talk to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.